1990, a British Airways captain named Tim Lancaster was 30 minutes into a flight when one of his cockpit windows just suddenly flew off. He was immediately sucked outside due to the decompression. And if it wasn't for the fast reaction of one of the flight attendants who was actually in the cockpit to ask the pilots if they wanted any drinks, the captain would have been long gone. The flight attendant, whose name was Nigel Ogden, managed to barely grab onto the captain as he was halfway through the window. But as hard as he tried, he just couldn't pull the captain back in since they were almost 20,000 feet in the air and the winds were far too strong. A few more flight attendants eventually came to help hold the captain. Everyone was sure he was already dead since his head had been banging on the side of the plane the entire time. But they couldn't let go in case his body flew into the engine and crashed the plane. The plane was finally safely landed after 22 minutes, and miraculously the captain somehow survived with just bruising, frostbite, and a broken arm. Nigel also had frostbite and a dislocated shoulder. Captain Lancaster actually returned to his job in just 5 months, retiring in 2003, and it was also eventually discovered that someone had installed the wrong screws in that one cockpit window, which is why it eventually gave out.
Now this could be the next big thing for NFTs. What if I told you that these pieces of art that you're seeing were not created by a human? Well, believe it or not, the artist is actually a robot called niaart, and her first collection was created to show the world how AI perceives human emotions such as love, pain, and lust. And as you can see, her art style is Impressionism, which was inspired by Van Gogh, Monet, and Manet. Now the reason I think this is such a promising project is because according to Cointelegraph, AI generative art is predicted to be the next massive trend for the NFT sector. I mean, just last year, the first NFT artwork created by a humanoid robot called Sophia was sold at auction for almost $700,000. And not only that, but niaart has only 999 NFTs dropping, unlike the normal thousands that you see. And they're selling for only 0.1 ETH, so if you do manage to cop, you might be sitting on something big. Their pre-sale is this Wednesday on the 9th, and public sale is on Thursday the 10th. So if you want to do your own research, I'll make sure to chuck their Discord link in my bio, but it will only be for a limited time because they will be closing it soon.
Let's make some radioactive water. Get a clear water bottle, fill it up to the top. Next, you want to grab your radioactive highlighter, saw a notch in it with a serrated knife, snap it open, and extract the dangerous ink with your bare hands. Then, squeeze it into the water. Okay, well obviously I'm kidding. If this was actually radioactive, I wouldn't be anywhere near it, let alone touching it. So why does it look like it's glowing? Well, highlighters have fluorescent chemicals, which means it will glow, but only under UV light. As you can see, without the UV flashlight, it just looks like regular ink. Next, I naturally wanted to add some dry ice. Based on how the light is shined on the water, you can see a cool looking cone. Let me know in the comments on YouTube or TikTok why you think this happens.
Here's a puzzle I think you guys will really enjoy. It has to do with trying to get this pyramid into this cage. Now, the pyramid is larger than the opening they gave us, but the coolest part about this puzzle is the solution. See, what looks impossible at first glance, if you change your perspective, you see a square. And that square, well, it fits right in. The secret to the impossible is change your perspective. How cool is that?
I'm scared for you.
Here we go. Look at this, guys. There's little brown, it looks like fuses right there, like a firework. And then you've got that, I was missing it, but I think if I can get that thing lit, it'll explode. See, Lincoln? I'm gonna light that up again.
I'm just waiting for it to blow up right now.
Look what's inside of this thing. We can see it. There's the fuse that goes around it. Styrofoam on the outside. On the inside, there's the powder on the inside of the styrofoam.
History fans, let's talk a little bit about this guy, Richard Mentor Johnson. He was the 9th Vice President of the United States of America, and he has a very complicated legacy. Or is it that complicated? So Johnson here was a politician from Kentucky. He served in the U.S. House as well as the U.S. Senate as a representative from Kentucky. He also fought in the War of 1812. Oh, and he also had a black wife. Wait, what? So Johnson's parents owned a slave named Julia Chinn, and Johnson started having a relationship with her as early as the 1810s. Now, of course, Johnson wasn't the only powerful white man sleeping with slaves in the 19th century, just see Thomas Jefferson. But what makes Johnson unique is that he publicly admitted to his relationship with Julia Chinn, and he basically treated her like she was his common law wife. Now, of course, he was never legally married to Julia Chinn, as interracial marriage was extremely illegal in the 1820s and 30s. And it should also be noted that Julia Chinn was not fully black. She was what they called in the 19th century an octoroon, which meant she was only 1/8 black, meaning she was probably very fair-skinned, and she only had one black great-grandparent. Now, of course, being a white guy in a relationship with a biracial woman has its political consequences in the 19th century. Richard Mentor Johnson lost many elections as a result of it, but he somehow still became the running mate of Martin Van Buren during the presidential election of 1836. But when Van Buren actually won that election, Johnson's relationship was seen so offensive that the state of Virginia refused to give its electoral college votes to Johnson as vice president, even though Van Buren won the state. As a result, the United States Senate had to elect Johnson to the vice presidency under the provisions of the 12th Amendment, and he's the only vice president to get that office in that manner. Now today, Johnson still gets a lot of criticism because despite being openly married to a biracial woman, she was still a slave the entire time. Johnson never granted her her freedom, even though he had the power to do so. So what do you guys think? Was this an evil guy?
The lead up to the 1908 London Olympics, there were concerns that Britain's polite culture would make its athletes less competitive. Indeed, when the games started, Brits' manners affected their ability to win medals.
The Polish athlete has collapsed here. Oh, and in goes Jones for the cuddle. That's good to see.
Desperate, the Brits decided they had to cheat and would use Cockney rhyming slang to spread the word without detection.
If you had him and eat it, I've heard on the old dog and bone that we might want to have a butcher's hook at systematically cheating in this Olympic Games.
Did you guys speak about cheat?
Why, somehow they've cracked the code.
The Brits added sports that only they could win at.
Here we are for the synchronised penny farthing and emotionally repressed small talk race. Let's listen in. Who are you? Oh, they've absolutely nailed that.
And making it unclear what events athletes were actually competing in.
Here he comes now, can he do it? Oh, that's a disaster for the German, a rookie error. One of the worst limbo performances we've seen this afternoon.
I build an invention in 24 hours, let's find out. So the time right now is 12:41. First, I gotta pick an invention idea from my notebook. I'm gonna do this one that says a coaster with a stopwatch on it. Still only 12:53. For this project, I'm gonna need an Arduino, a ultrasonic sensor, and a little stopwatch module. I wired up all the different devices and hopped into my computer to code this up so that when you cover the sensor, the stopwatch starts going up, and then when you remove it, it resets back to 0. Time check, 2:46. So now it's time to go back to my computer to make a 3D model of the actual coaster housing that looks something like this. Another time check, it's 4:04. It was now time to fire up a couple 3D printers so that all of these could simultaneously print overnight. Just to be safe, I stopped in at 9:16 p.m. just to double check it was still looking good. So then when I stopped back in the morning at 8:09, I could actually start assembling this invention until it was fully complete. I gave it a little test ride and look at that, it actually works. And since it was only 9:59, I still had a little extra time to film one of my classic product commercials to show you how it works. Mission accomplished in 24 hours. And now I have a coaster that tells me exactly how long it's been since I put down my last drink.
This is probably the pettiest and most vindictive thing I have ever heard in a legal context, and it comes straight from Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk's hatred of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, is well known. Musk and the SEC have butted heads many times. But when one of Tesla's outside law firms, Cooley, which is one of the largest law firms in the country, hired a former lawyer for the SEC, Elon Musk wasn't having it. So he called up one of the partners at this huge law firm and said, if you don't fire this lawyer who has nothing to do with Tesla, doesn't work on any of the Tesla cases, and whose only offense was that he used to work for the SEC, if you don't fire him, I will fire the entire law firm and not let them work with Tesla anymore. I guess when you're worth $300 billion, you can choose whatever law firm that you want. But apparently that lawyer, who's just an associate, not even a partner at the law firm, still works there. But man, Elon Musk, that is really petty and that is really vindictive.
Fell in love with a fish. There are over 500 fish species that live on Caribbean reefs, but the ones I just can't get out of my head are parrotfish. First, they have a mouth like a parrot's beak, which is strong enough to bite coral, although mostly they're after algae. They are the lawnmowers of the reef. Second amazing thing, after all that eating, they poop fine white sand. A single parrotfish can produce over 380 kilograms of this pulverized coral each year. So next time you're lounging on a tropical white sand beach, maybe thank a parrotfish. Third, they have so much style. Mottled and striped, teal, magenta, yellow, orange, polka dotted. Parrotfish are a big part of what makes coral reefs so colorful. Plus, in true diva style, they have multiple wardrobe changes throughout their life. A juvenile outfit, an intermediate getup, and a terminal look. Fourth, with this last wardrobe change comes a sex change from female to male, termed sequential hermaphroditism. These large males then gather harems of females to spawn. Heterosexual monogamy is certainly not nature's status quo. Fifth, and the most incredible. Sometimes when parrotfish cozy up into a nook in the reef at night, they secrete a mucus bubble from a gland in their head that envelops their entire body. This masks their scent from predators and protects them from parasites so they can sleep soundly. I mean, how cool is this?